Hi guys, Dempsey here. As you can probably already tell, this is not going to be a typical movie review. It's not going to be a movie review at all. It's going to be a review of the latest and what is the last season of Game of Thrones. And a lot of people have a lot of thoughts on this. I thought that I would just throw mine out there as well, and I want to emphasize that right now, that these are just my thoughts, my opinions. Nothing that I say is, factual, okay? It's not like it's the end-all, be-all. It is factual to a certain extent, but like I said, it's not the end-all, be-all. It doesn't mean that what I say is final. These are just my own interpretations of the series, my own likes and dislikes. So, please don't come at me. I don't want, the Twitter trolls to spill out onto this YouTube channel. Please. It took me a while to actually digest the events of the series finale. It was a lot. This whole season's been a lot, as I said. And I'm getting over a sickness. So I apologize. I was going to try and put this off one more day, but I thought, let me just get it out there. Let me get it over with while, all the information is still fresh in my head. But, yeah, let's begin. This season was just okay. The one analogy that I keep on using that I actually kind of like, once again this is my opinion, is I compare it to flat soda, where you can take a sip of it and it's okay in that moment, but I mean if you continue to drink it, ultimately it's just going to leave you unsatisfied. Yeah, I mean when you take the season and throw it up there with the other 7, it's nowhere near on top for me. It's definitely not one of my favorite seasons, although I did like some aspects of it. I guess I should go into some of the positives before I go into some of the negatives. And the first positive I will say is that the second episode of the season, which I believe was called A Night of the Seven Kingdoms, was my favorite. It was like not only one of my favorites of the season, but it was one of my favorites of the show, I would have to say. I thought that it was a really good, or it had the potential to be a really good send-off for a bunch of characters, and I mean in some ways it was, because after that episode was The Long Night. But yeah, I thought it was the strongest episode. It was much better than The Long Night, and even better than The Bells. And this episode had a lot of what I really loved about the show as a whole. Had a lot of great humor, a lot of fantastic character development, and just the essence of, bringing all these characters from different backgrounds who, under any other circumstances, would not be talking to each other, and just sticking them together because, they're fighting for the same uniform cause. And in a way, that's what the whole show is based on. The whole show is all these characters scattered around the world, coming together over time to achieve this one goal, and in this case, it is to defeat the Night King. While there were some really great ends to some really great character arcs, there were some that I didn't feel got what they deserved, or that didn't wrap up as tastefully as I thought they would. And once again, I want to go back into saying that this is just my opinion, okay? It's really hard to satisfy everyone, that I know, and I know that the creators of the show knew that as well. And I mean, going into the show, you have to have that open mindset, I believe, because not everybody's going to like the ending. Not everybody did like the ending. It's hard to satisfy people who absolutely love the books. It's hard to satisfy the people that absolutely love the show. It's hard to satisfy the people that kind of liked a little bit of both. And at the same time, the books aren't even finished yet. So, there are people that were anticipating that this would kind of be a substitute for the end of the books until, they got the real ending. Or, what will probably be an alternate ending at this point. But going back into the arcs that I didn't really like, Theon. Jeebus Christ. What happened, man? Probably one of the best arcs, arguably the best arc, I feel, because his is such a strong redemption arc, and he kind of just dies for nothing. I mean, yes, he does kind of get that personal validation that he is a Stark once again at the end after having gone through everything, but just charging at the Night King, absolute death. Okay, I don't know what the hell he thought he was doing, but it made no sense to me. And I kind of thought that they were going to hold off and kind of make you think that he was dead and then show that he was still alive and that he was ready to do all this other stuff. And no, that did not happen. He died a really shameful death, in my opinion. And another arc that I kind of had a problem with was Jaime Lannister, who also was a really great redemption arc as well. He went from being this total scumbag in the first season to kind of being a character that everybody rooted for. But, just like Theon, it proved to be all for nothing, because at the end he still died wrapped around Cersei's finger. And yes, he did love her, but, man, he just never learned. He just never learned. Bran being king. Okay, this was probably the most random thing that I don't think anybody really saw coming. I'm speaking from my personal opinion. Maybe there were some people that were like, oh, I'm the third-eyed raven too, and I saw that. I definitely saw that. Well, I definitely didn't. I was kind of, I did, I'm going to be very careful with how I say this. He has probably been the most useless character for about 2 or 3 seasons now, so, in season 5 we didn't even see him at all, but, it just made no sense for him to kind of be ruler now. Especially with what he kept on saying, that he was just so firm about it. He kept on saying, no, I can't be ruler because I'm the third-eyed raven, or the three-eyed, or whatever the hell it was called. For him to ultimately just be like, whoa, why do you think I'm here? That just felt so out of character, especially for the way he was acting prior to the series finale. He just seemed so emotionless, and then at the end he's like, hey, guess what, guys? It's me! Surprise! Did not like that. It just felt, like I said, random. To be honest with you, and this was totally my thing from the get-go, my theory, I thought the whole season 8 was going to be a vision of Bran's. I thought that would have been so awesome and ballsy for the writers to just be like, yeah, surprise, this isn't really the series finale. We're going to bang it out with a movie in like 3 years when everybody's free again. But that obviously is not happening. Also, and I was like really like 1,000% sure that it was a vision. In that one scene in the long night where Bran's like, I'll be right back, and he's like, and then he goes away. But yeah, like I said, I think that would have been a much better ending, in my opinion, than what actually happened. But yeah, Westeros got democracy, which was also another really strange thing. Ugh. In regards to Daenerys, I'm not really surprised with what happened. They kept on bringing up the fact that the Mad King's blood ran through her veins. They kept on kind of alluding that, the power would eventually go to her head. And while I wanted to believe that she was level-headed, if you look back, and as Tyrion mentions in the episode, how many times she's killed people just because she could, how many times was she going to be allowed to do it before she just didn't ask for permission anymore? And at the end, she wasn't asking for permission. I really like how her character felt. I like the fact that she never got to sit on the Iron Throne. I like the fact that nobody got to sit on the Iron Throne. All this hoopla about it for 8 seasons. Everybody's like, the Iron Throne is mine. The Iron Throne is mine. And the Iron Throne is nobody's. And I love the fact that a dragon named Drogon, creativity is fantastic, right? Burned it. Her dragon ended up being the smartest character on the entire show, because he knew, or it knew, that the Iron Throne was the root of all evil. In the Game of Thrones, you either win or you die, right? You either be the hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain, right? Is that the quote? And in this case, we got to see Daenerys become the villain. But yeah, I as bittersweet as it was, I thought that it was absolutely necessary. But that's only like the first 45 minutes of the series finale. After that, I was expecting for things to pop off, another war or something. But it kind of went downhill after that. I feel like that was the last great moment of the series. The most disappointing storylines for me in this season, though, were Arya's and Sansa's. Sansa, for one, kind of stopped being, you know, a big player after, or a major player rather, after the Battle of the Bastards. I felt like once she got her revenge on Ramsay Bolton, and when she took back Winterfell, that, you know, she was kind of complete, that her kind of story was complete. But then they took it, you know, that extra level, and they had her kill Littlefinger, which I thought was fantastic as well. But honestly, I thought that the only reason they were keeping her alive past the Battle of the Bastards was to have her die. And one other theory that I had was that I thought that Daenerys was going to kill her. I thought that that would have made so much more sense, and it would have been a better catalyst, I feel, to enable Jon to kill Daenerys. I would have thought that would have been fantastic. But, you know, it kind of still worked out the way it worked out. But to me, it felt like Sansa was just being a pain in the ass the whole time. And she was even a pain in the ass when her brother got picked to be the king. She was like, hold on, brother. I think the North should be independent. Like, she literally prevented the Seven... Like, the whole point of the show was to have everything united. And she literally prevented everything from being united. There wasn't the Seven Kingdoms united. It's 6 and then the North because of Sansa. Oh, Lord. And another issue that I had was with Arya, as I mentioned. She went through some major trials and tribulations over the course of the season. I mean, I thought it was perfect that they had her kill the Night King, okay? It really matched up well with what she was taught in the first season, that, you know, you tell death, not today, and that's exactly what she did. Not today. But then she goes off and decides to sail the whatever, however many seas they have. Nobody has bothered to map out the rest of the world, which just blows my mind, because that means that there's more than 7 kingdoms. That means that everything that we've been taught up until this point is a total lie. So they're fighting to unite what they believe to be is the entire world. There may be more people ready to be conquered beyond their point of view. It kind of confused me, and it also angered me. But it angered me more than anything because, you know, Arya had the potential to be a great leader. I honestly, you know, if this whole thing wasn't going to be a vision of Bran's, I was really rooting for her to kind of just be like, you know what? I don't think anybody's fit to be leader. I'll be the queen. I'll be the lady or whatever, finally. But I guess it kind of worked. But I didn't like the way they sent her off on the ship. Like, I didn't get that significance. Like she's ready to just travel the world. And it seems so out of place because the whole series she's trying to go back home and then she's finally home and then she's done. I wasn't buying it. And for a show that's become most known for killing people off left and right without really any warning, I felt like at the end of the series there was just way too many people still standing. And I know, look, I know how that sounds. I'm a very sentimental person, believe it or not. But honestly, I was expecting so much more blood to be shed, especially with all the hype that this finale had, and the build-up that the whole series had. Okay, you're expecting this great war to happen, and a majority of the blood that from the characters that we know and love, not the innocent civilians that die, a majority of that blood is shed during the long night, and I just felt like it just, I don't know, it was another thing that was just totally unsatisfying. You know, by the end of the show, they have so many characters that they don't really supply you with definitive conclusions for them all. One of the major examples, in my opinion, is Gendry, who is one of my favorite characters on the show, not just because his last name is Dempsey, okay, so relax. But no, like, he's been such a major player in the background, especially throughout the entire series. And then when he comes back, he befriends Jon Snow, and it looks like things are about to pop off. And then pretty much after he hooks up with Arya, he's just in the background again. And the last time we see him is when Bran is king. And then, like, no one knows what happened to him after that. Like, no one knows where he's settled, if he's still in Winterfell, if he's moved on, what he's doing. And it's just so unfortunate. It's little characters like that, you know, they may not have been as important as Jon Snow or Daenerys or Arya, but, you know, they still had an important effect or a major effect on fans, such as myself. The only real arc that I truly was content with by the end of the show was Jon Snow's. And I mean, how could you not? Okay? From the very beginning, when we met him, we knew that he had the innate ability to be a great leader. And time after time, he proved that. And time after time, he turned it away. He never wanted the throne, and he never got the throne. And I love that. I love the fact that Bran kind of tricks us into thinking that he sends him to the Night's Watch. And then you come to find that the Night's Watch really doesn't exist after all. That he's actually sent Jon to be free. Free from his name, from his birthright, from every oath he's ever taken. He gives Jon the one thing that he's always wanted. Absolute freedom. And it just worked for me on like every level. And, you know, even if some of the other things in the finale didn't happen the way that they ultimately did, and as long as they kept that ending, I think I would still be content. Obviously, I don't think that the season was the best. It's clear to me that while the production value went up, the storytelling definitely declined. But I don't think it had anything to do with the amount of episodes. I saw a lot of people saying that because it was 6 episodes, that's the reason it sucked. Take into consideration that a lot of the episodes are actually the length of like any other 2 Game of Thrones episodes. So to me, it was just about the exact length as any other Game of Thrones season. But I think the major problem with the season was just that the creators got lazy. I mean, I want to specifically zero in on the creators, not the actors. I think that they just became really focused on just finishing the story as a whole. And as a result, they kind of became less obsessed with how they got there. Which is why a lot of things seemed incoherent. And which is probably why we ended up seeing a lot of coffee cups and water bottles on set. I definitely think that there were some major tunnel vision issues with this season. At the same time, I do understand that it's not easy to end a show. Hell, it's not even easy to create one. If it were that easy, we'd all have hundreds of television shows out there. And no, YouTube does not count. I guess what I'm trying to say is that it's just really hard to satisfy everybody. I know I said that before, but I mean, when you create something that becomes such a cultural phenomenon like Game of Thrones is, it really is hard to just, you know, create something that kind of hits every note for everybody. You know, The Office is another example, okay? A lot of people love that show, a lot of people were on board with it, but many people did not like the way it ended. And same goes for How I Met Your Mother. Great show. A lot of people did not like the way it ended, except for me. I really loved the way it ended. As cheesy as this sounds, this show will always have a special place in my heart. Yeah, I said it. Yes, it didn't end the way that I expected it to, but nothing really ever goes the way you expect it to. And, I mean, you just gotta roll with it. And as long as you're able to make something of what it ultimately is, which I was, I think that's all that really matters. So yeah, not a lot of people like this show. I'm not a lot of people. I'm myself. And I think that, you know, you can't just judge this show on one season. You know, it's just a fragment of a larger story. You can't judge the whole Harry Potter series on, you know, just the 3rd book or whatever, even though the 3rd book's great. So yeah, you know, season 8, not the strongest season, but still a great addition to the ultimate story. And for that, I'm gonna give Game of Thrones season 8 3.5 stars.
Dracarys.
And if you want to know what I would give the whole series, I'd give it 4.5 stars.
Vala Morghulis.
But anyways, now that Game of Thrones is over, did you guys see that Westworld trailer?
Do you need some help?
Jeebus. Guys, thanks so much for watching. As always, if you like this video, hit that like button, and if you're not subscribed, I would ask that you please subscribe. I post new videos weekly, and yes, I've got tons of new stuff coming out shortly, so make sure you stay tuned. And yes, I'm absolutely losing my voice as I speak, so I'll just make this a little bit quicker. If you've seen the show, if you have your thoughts or opinions, feel free to comment below in the comment section. I'll get back to you. I love to get back to you guys, and I want to hear what you guys thought. Obviously, a lot of people have a lot of opinions on this, and I'm just sounding worse and worse by the second. This is ridiculous. Guys, thanks so much for watching. I really ought to go. And one more thing. I know it looks like I have a mullet. I definitely do not. I just wanted to show you that. But in all seriousness, though, guys, thank you so much for watching. Until next time, I'm Dempsey Pullout. Take care.